Sometimes I wish as a pastor that people would have told us the real story behind the Sunday service. Isn't it interesting? Jesus died, right? Rose again. People celebrated it Sunday, Easter. He got up, this, that, and the third. And the best thing that we were able to do is come up with a Sunday morning service for about 2 hours, maybe 1 hour, maybe 3 hours, depending on all of those things. Things that Jesus didn't have back then that we have now, bands, right? Choirs, praise teams. We put a lot of emphasis on our presentation. And so the question becomes, what are we really selling at this point? Because think about it. How many of your church has highlighted that in your church you may have had a filled room, thousands or hundreds of people just filling your sanctuaries? But then what happened in each individual seat? How are their lives? What are the testimonies? Think about what we market. We market the fact that we could fill a room, but how often do we market how we have filled lives? Think of it this way. The church I grew up in, the pastors used to tell us that if you were sick, boy, you come to that church and you come to this altar and God gonna heal you. Now, they say you sick, wash your hands, use disinfectant. My, how the messages have changed because the person holding the mic has changed. The ideas of that person who holds the mic isn't the same that you grew up with, that I grew up with. That person who held that mic when I was growing up used to tell us that Jesus' death means that your life will be better, not that we will market and push to fill a room. Because a filled room is okay. It's good, right? You might meet budget. You might have great social media followings. But how many individuals sitting in these seats will actually say that they really encounter the reality of the supernatural, the reality of Christ? It really depends upon that person right there holding that mic and how they perceive the experience to be. And of course, we live in this place now where whatever anybody says, it goes. It's freedom of choice, freedom of expression. It doesn't have to be one way or the other. But why does that matter? Because I wish pastors now would share how they made it over before they were filling rooms, before they had their niche, they found out how God would use them. How did you deal with those times of depression, discouragement, failure, shortcomings? Those are more impactful testimonies than your amazing pictures and your nice preaching sermons and your good bands and all of those things, right? If you would hear how we make it and we bridge the gap between when it's working and when it's not. Because some of us are trying to figure out where that space is. It took me a while, but 10 years into it, I finally learned that if you can take any life that comes to you and get them where they need to be, that's transformation and that's change and that's the gospel. Because it's not religion, it's helping people overcome their guilt, their shame, and their failure. That's what Jesus did.